Last season, the NHL didn't have any goalie pairs, but had more like a bunch of goalies all at once. The 2022-23 NHL season should be a bit more normal when it comes to who's managing the goal for each team, but if we know anything about these goalies, then we know things can look very different on ice than they do on paper. In this video, we'll talk about the goalie tandem rankings for this season. First off, the New York Rangers. The Rangers have the best tandem of goalies in the NHL simply because they have the best goalie in the league. In 53 games, Shesterkin had a save percentage of .935 and his goals against average was 2.07, the best in the NHL. Alexander Georgiev was sent to the Avalanche in exchange for Halleck, who will now be the Rangers' backup goalie. Halleck's going into his 17th season in the NHL, so he knows the job better than most. He'll probably play more than the 14 games he started last year, and he'll have to do better than he did in Vancouver, where he saved 1.11 fewer goals than the average goalie. Does the Halleck from a few years ago still live somewhere in those pads? Because it could help the Rangers. This is a strange pair for sure, but the fact that they're the first in the NHL, that was a testament to how great Shesterkin is, and he should stay that way this season. Up next, the New York Islanders. Last season, Sorokin was the real deal. He looked like the goalie the Islanders wanted him to be, a star. Last season, he saved 28.97 goals more than the average goalie and helped his team win 7 more games than they would have. The 27-year-old lived up to the promise of his first season. Last season, it was surprising his teammate Varlamov didn't play as well as he usually does. The 34-year-old save percentage dropped from .929 to .911. All of his stats were just a little bit better than average. If he gets back to his old self, this could still be the second best duo in the NHL. Sorokin's still a candidate for the Vezina if Varlamov has more trouble. Followed by Tampa Bay Lightning. Vasilevsky was only 2 wins away from helping his team win the Stanley Cup 3 times in a row. That's what stories are made of. The 28-year-old goalie had the most wins in the NHL for 5 straight seasons, and he's the reason why the Lightning have a chance to win another cup this year. We heard that Vasilevsky was second in the NHL in 2021 and 22 because he saved 28.4 more goals than expected. He gave the Lightning an extra 5.2 wins. During the regular season, the Big Cat keeps John Cooper's team stable, and in the playoffs, he's the best player in the playoffs. Elliott's back as Tampa Bay's spot starter. Last season, he started 17 games and did about as well as a replacement player would have. He's good, but Vasilevsky's more than just fine, so who knows. Moving on to Carolina Hurricanes. Before the 2021-22 season, the Hurricanes decided to throw out their list of goalies and start over. As a result, they finished 3rd in the league in team save percentage, and Anderson's season was cut short by an injury after 52 games. He was 3rd in the NHL with 27.8 goals, saved above average, and he helped the Hurricanes win 6.8 games. Raanta missed some time for Carolina, as he seems to do every season, but he still played in 28 games. We took notice of Raanta during the playoffs when he helped the Hurricanes beat the Bruins in the first round. The jury's still out on whether this duo can help the Hurricanes win the championship, but if they're healthy, they'll get them there. Next, Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks changed our rankings more than any other team. On our first look, they were in the middle of the group. Almost every goalie expert said that Demko and Martin are one of the best goalie teams in the NHL this year. Demko made 64 appearances in the NHL, which showed he was one of the goalies who worked the hardest. We heard that he saved .915 of the shots he faced and kept 10.5 goals from going in. If he hadn't tried to play through an injury late in the season, giving up 13 goals in his last 3 starts, his numbers would have been even better. Is Martin, who saved 95% of the shots he faced in 6 games last season, that much better than Halleck as a backup? Who knows? Not to mention Washington Capitals. The Capitals saw a problem and thought of a way to fix it. The problem was that Washington's team save percentage of .898 was the worst of any team that made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. The solution was to eliminate their goalies from last season and sign Kemper, who led the Avalanche to the Stanley Cup as a free agent for 5 years. They were ranked 5th by Clearsight Analytics before the season started. Kemper had a good regular goalie season, and Lindgren could be looked back at as the best signing of the offseason, one goalie expert said. Kemper had an excellent regular season as goalie. Lindgren could be the best offseason signing as long as Peter Laviolette keeps their focus on defense for another season. Let's learn more about the Calgary Flames. Coach Daryl Sutter's system led to great goaltending over the years. Last season, Markstrom was the runner-up in the Vezina Trophy, given to the best goaltender in the NHL. In 63 games, he had a save percentage of .922 and the most shutouts in the NHL with 9. His underlying numbers were good, but not as good as his traditional numbers. If we look at Money Puck, Markstrom was 12th in the NHL in goals saved above expectations. The less said about the playoffs, the better for Markstrom, who turned to a .901 goalie when Edmonton played in the Battle of Alberta. Last season, Vladar was the backup goalie who got the start in 23 games. His salary of $750,000 might be his best quality since the Flames have already given Markstrom $6 million. Dustin Wolf, the AHL goalie of the year, is ready to go. Coming up, the Boston Bruins. Last season started with Ullmark and Swayman waiting for Tuukka Tuukka Rask to come back from surgery so they could play, but Rask only played 4 games after making a comeback before he quit. It's now their turn. Both goalies played better than expected, and Bruce Cassidy split the work between them so they each started 39 games. Even though new coach Jim Montgomery might not see things the same way, his 2 years in Dallas showed his system could help his goalies. While Monty was in charge, the Stars had the fewest goals against any team in the NHL. Last season, Ullmark was the better of the 2 goalies. For the second straight season, he had a save percentage of .917. Swayman didn't quite live up to the promise of his first 10 games as a rookie, but the 23-year-old played well enough. .914 save percentage and a .615 quality starts percentage. As a pair, they just go together. At the NHL Player Media Tour, Swayman said that they're close. It was special to know that we go through the same things every day and that we'll be there for each other, he said. Next, the Nashville Predators. Last season, Saros came in 3rd for the Vezina Trophy, which was right if we look at how tough the competition was. His reward was getting the Predators over the hump and into the playoffs when they went 29-3. Saros played for 3,932 minutes longer than anyone else. Do the Predators see something in Kevin Lankinen that analytics don't? He played well for a while during his rookie year in 2020 and 21, and last season was even worse. MoneyPuck says he saved minus 28.6 goals more than expected, which was the second worst in the league. But things went badly, and he ended up with minus 14.3 goals saved above expectations for the Chicago Blackhawks. As good as Saros is, Lankinen isn't. Keep in mind that Yaroslav Askarov, a 20-year-old goalie who's a star, is getting better in the AHL. Finally, the Pittsburgh Penguins. After Jerry's play against the Islanders may have cost the Penguins a playoff series, they still had faith in him, and he paid them back with a great season. In 58 games, Jerry saved 28.7 more goals than the average goalie and helped the Penguins win 5.1 more games. He played at an MVP level when many Penguins were out of the lineup. He came in 7th place in the Vezina Trophy race. In Game 1 against the Rangers, DeSmith was hurt in double overtime, which made Louis Domingue famous for a short time. He's a good backup goalie who had a slightly below-average season for the Penguins. But in the last 12 games, DeSmith got back into form. That means a stable base for Pittsburgh. And on that note, that's a wrap for this video. Which goalies have the best chance of getting to the top this season? Is there anyone we overlooked? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.